So obviously, when you meet up with someone and you guys go through an extensive, like, kind of like interview process, it always, I'm guessing, because in my industry it's very similar, where you kind of have to talk about personal development.
Oh, yes.
Right? So, like, being able to have that conversation with someone because they need to understand that it's going to be about them in the long run, right? So how do you kind of dive into self and personal development when you end up getting into these one-on-one kind of consultations?
I think it comes up very naturally. I think vulnerability is like a two-way street. So when I share about myself, not that I talk about myself extensively in these consultations because it's about the client, but when I share like little tidbits about my day or, share about my personal experiences and really try to empathize, people are much more willing to open up and explore that possibility that nutrition isn't just about food, that there's this whole other personal development aspect attached to it. And I always say food choices are just a symptom of whatever relationship you have with yourself. So if you love yourself and you truly want the best for yourself, then your actions will mimic that and it'll mirror that. And your food choices will show up in the way of nourishment and fueling and, abundance, versus if there's something about you that you really don't like, or there's something that you're not being honest with yourself about, then food is going to be a way to either blanket that, numb out, or help you escape your reality, or it's going to be a way for you to punish yourself too. So yeah, that's kind of where we start.
So with that being said, I find that people again are really confused because they have a lot of different information coming from a lot of different places, right? So when they feel like they're doing something good for themselves, they don't necessarily, I wouldn't say they wouldn't necessarily know that, okay, this is not actually helping me, versus them. Well, that's the thing, like, they're getting information from other places and they're not really realizing that, like, that's not it, right? So when they meet up with you, it's like, oh, I've been doing this, this, and this, and you're like, that's not what you're supposed to be doing, right?
What do you mean by that?
So, like, I just mean, like, so if a person is coming to you, right, and they're realizing that they're coming to you obviously for a reason, right? They want to get better in nutrition, but they think they're doing something right before they met you, right? They thought, like, oh, me eating this in the morning, I thought I was doing this, I thought I was doing value to myself, I thought I was doing, like, right by myself, but, like, obviously some of the information that they're getting is not always going to be the right thing, right? So how do you kind of differ from that, like, when someone is trying to get the right information versus what the actual right information is? Because there's a lot of information, right? So
right, there is a lot of information, and I never preach one single right way.
Okay.
So just because your breakfast looks different than mine doesn't mean that you're wrong and I'm right.
Okay.
If something is working for you, even though it goes against conventional wisdom, then it works for you. Then we won't cut out that part, or we won't address it at this moment. There are going to be more pressing priorities to address, and usually people come in and they know. They already know what they need to work on.
Okay.
I'm just kind of there for validation or for support.
Yeah.
And to confirm things. But yeah.
So what are some of the biggest myths that you've heard that you have to, like, constantly break down? Like, do you have any, like, myths that people come to you with, like, I heard this or I heard that? Like, do you have to kind of debunk those?
Yeah, I think the biggest myth that people come to me with is that they have to eat less to look leaner or to lose weight. And that's really frustrating because that's like such a diet culture mentality that's instilled into people. But your body needs a certain amount of calories to function at its optimal level. Yeah. If you go below that, drastically go below that, doesn't mean your body's not going to respond with weight loss. Your body's going to respond with hoarding calories and energy as body fat. So that it can survive, because you're putting it in a famine state, right? And if you go in a surplus of that happy range, then your body's also going to be storing that as body fat. So it's all about finding what is the perfect amount for you. Eating less doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to lose weight or see results faster.
And then with that being said, like, with results, how often do you find people are really either frustrated with the results not happening as fast as they want, or just not seeing it in general, right?
Yeah, really, really often. What people don't realize when they first come in to see me is that it takes more than just a few days of consistency. So if you're someone that eats really well Monday to Friday, and then you fall off the wagon Saturday and Sunday, that's not okay. That's not enough consistency for you to see results soon enough. Mm-hmm. And they'll be like, oh, but I was good for 2 weeks. Like, but in reality, if we break down those 2 weeks, you were only following the plan or truly being compliant for 7 of the days, you know? So I think, yeah, definitely the time expectation is another challenge that I face.
Yeah, I find that's a big one. Even like again in my industry as well. Like it's just it's tougher because people want the results, but then they don't do the homework necessary for them to progress faster, right? So it's always just that battle of like, when am I going to see results? My friend saw results in like 5 days, and I'm not seeing anything right now. Like, and obviously it's tough because some people are going to be different than others, right? And it's just like how are you able to kind of deflect